Guys, welcome to Tom and Talk with Brie and Crystal, and we are coming back for a roundup of our Mark theory because we've just come to light with some new thoughts.
Yes, we definitely did. We're a little bit unwell over here.
We've been rocking in the corner for like a little bit. So if you've watched our other video, we talked about the main question was like, do we think Mark is going to come back? And we said yes, and we now have the evidence. And, if you don't want to know, maybe keep scrolling. It did trigger something for us.
Just a little bit. I mean, I literally broke my glasses in half. I have proof, guys. I literally snapped my glasses in half with this theory.
Spiraling FaceTime call. That's what we do best. Yeah. So we're gonna go through basically the timeline as to what the story is happening, what we know from Taming 7, and then the snippets that we've put in place, because obviously these snippets are potentially from the next book and it just gives us a bit more context. So yes. We initially kind of said September, October is a period of which we thought Mark would come back. We had a few reasons behind that, and that was speculation before we put these snippets together.
We assumed, because we know for a fact that Gibbs sees Mark early October. I think it's that Tuesday. And we were like, we felt like there was something more to it. We're like, he definitely sees Lizzie first, but we couldn't really prove that. We just had speculation that he potentially did that.
Yeah.
But we think we may have found proof that he actually did potentially see Lizzie. So we want to take you through all of this and show you why we think this.
Main thing is it's kind of over that weekend period. So it's early October. We've got Friday where we know that Claire is having a sleepover with Shannon. Aoife's there. They have that whole kind of sex talk. And then the boys are in biddies and we don't know where Liz is.
Claire, Shannon, Gibbsy, Hugh, Feely, and Johnny are all we know their whereabouts. Liz is alone. She doesn't have any other friends. There's no one else she would be hanging out with. So she is potentially alone on Friday, early October.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, okay? Just keep that in mind. We'll take you through the timeline.
The next day, we've got games night at the Biggs house. So Gibbsy's there, Claire's there, Katie's there, Hugh's there. And that's all we see for that night. All we hear is that Claire says Liz is off with Pierce again. They're planning the Halloween costumes and they're oh, okay, she's off with him again. And that's all we know. So that's potentially now 2 days we haven't seen Liz.
And then we get to Sunday, which is the coffee shop scene where Claire, Shannon, and Liz are all at the coffee shop. Patrick comes in first. Claire's trying to get Liz and Patrick to date. Then Gibbs comes in. There's a big whole fight. This is where Liz is the wrong child drowned. And Gibbs storms off. Claire follows him and stays with him. And then we get that Chloe Walsh snippet post coffee shop where Feely is with Liz and calls Hugh, and then Hugh goes to Liz's house and it's that "where's my girl?" And I do want to read it to you guys just because I think it could be potentially important. So for context, the Chloe Walsh Instagram snippet, and she was the one that said this is post coffee shop. So it says, it's in Hugh's perspective. The call I'd received during my shift at work had me feigning sickness to get in my car to get to her because I knew it was bad. It had to be if Feely was calling. Where is she? I asked the minute I stepped through the front door of Old Hall House and found Feely pacing in the front hall. He didn't answer. He just pointed to the stairs, taking the steps 2 at a time. I rounded the banister in record time, not stopping until I was standing outside the familiar bedroom door. Inhaling a steady breath, I pushed the door inwards and stepped inside. My heart contracted when my eyes landed on her. She was curled up in a ball on the floor, body rocking back and forth violently. He even got a relief breath when my brain registered the fact that she was still breathing. I quickly closed the space between us and knelt beside her. Where's my girl? Sniffling, she snapped her head towards me, eyes wild, frantic, and searching. Hugh? ? I'm right here, Liz. I reached down and tucked her hair behind her ears. I'm right here. The monster is coming for me, she screamed, scrambling onto my lap. And the scary lady is going to drown me. I won't let that happen, I coaxed, pulling her into my arms. You know that. You can't stop the monster, she choked out, clinging to me like a child. You never could. I'll get him this time, I promise, wrapping her in my arms. I'll get them all, Liz. So that is the coffee shop scene post what happened with Gibbs and Claire at the coffee shop. And that is all on Sunday.
And I think when we first read this, we were like, well, she never spirals to the point of saying monster, scary lady, unless she has seen those things. And that was our official alarm in the sense of what's happening. We know that Mark is seen later.
She seems petrified. She's in a ball. She's rocking back and forth. She's shaking. This is more than just a normal manic episode. It's something else. And to me, it seems more like fear.
Yes, 100%.
And then we get to Monday. Monday, I don't think anything is important.
Mainly the Jamie drama with Liz and Claire.
Yeah.
So Monday's kind of it's a bit of a write-off. The main thing is we get to Tuesday. And Tuesday we've got Claire confronting her mum about the self-harm. She's concerned for Liz. Liz mentions later that causes her mum to have chest pain, and then potentially her mum's gone to the hospital for that. And then following that, Liz has showed up at Claire's house and they have that big fight about it all. Hugh is there. They end up kind of, calming down. And then she starts talking about all the things that are happening, such as her parents having divorce in March and none of them knowing about it.
Yeah, and I want to point out that Gibbs leaves the scene and goes back to his house, and that's when he first notices Mark is back. So on Tuesday, Gibbs notices Mark is back. That's when we have confirmation. Then we go back to the Biggs house, and after the whole calming down scene, Hugh does drive Liz home.
So that's the 2-hour drive that we've always speculated something happening or a big conversation happening. And when we got this snippet, we were like, is that drive? Like, it was really hard to place based on the dialogue in it. So we know that Hugh drives her home 2 hours. The house is not 2 hours away. So potentially they've had, some sort of conversation in the car. But then we get this snippet, and this snippet, like, we were like confused where to put it, but we've just figured out that it's going here, and we will explain why. So I'm going to read it to you. So it's in Huey's point of view. And he says, I didn't kill the engine when I pulled into her front yard. I didn't dare. But when she made no move to unfasten her seatbelt, I slid the gear stick into neutral and jacked the handbrake. She needed to go, and I needed to let her. That's what needed to happen right now. She needed to step out of my car and out of my life because I couldn't go back there. Too many years had passed. I wasn't the one to fix this for her. I couldn't save her again. 5 seconds turned to 10 and then 20, and still she didn't move. Liz, I tried to restrain my emotions when I spoke, but fuck if they didn't spill out anyway. One damn word and I was revealing more than I could afford. If I could hear it, then so could she. Damn it. She says, what am I supposed to do? She finally broke the strained silence by asking. Swallowing deeply, she tucked a blonde tendril behind her ear, but continued to stare straight ahead. He's back and she stops. I won't let him hurt you. I heard myself interrupt, fucking vow, before joining her and staring out the windscreen. I'll kill him first. Our theory there is that he's driven up to a driveway, sitting in the driveway, and she's staring out, looking at something. And we know that her dad has come back after this because we do now have a snippet to confirm that the mum was in hospital, the dad's come back. So potentially she's staring out the windscreen. It's the first time she's seen her dad since the whole divorce debacle. And she's saying he's back and doesn't say anything else. So she's probably referring to Mark. Hugh is probably thinking it's about her dad because we know that's a rocky relationship. Hugh already has beef with her dad, and he's so close.
He's always so close. And then we kind of like fast forward from there when Liz enters her house, and this is Liz to her dad, and she literally walks in and screams, Dad. Panic stricken, I continue to clutch the doorknob while I sank to the floor. He's back. And then her dad says, no, I'm not back, Dad attempted to explain. Your mother called from the hospital to say she was being kept for monitoring. I drove down to visit her. I just popped in to grab a few bits and pieces. No, I shook my head. He's back, Dad. He's back. She was never talking about her father. Her dad just assumed she was talking about him. So when did Liz notice that Mark was back if she's talking about him being back? Because they haven't seen Mark yet, and Hugh isn't back at his house yet, which is when after the 2 hours he finds out Mark is back. So at this moment, Hugh doesn't know Mark's back, and Lizzie really shouldn't. Why does she?
Well, we know why.
We're going to take it back to that early Friday in October, because that's the only day that Lizzie was potentially alone. Friday to Saturday, I want to preference. Like the Friday to Saturday, she is not around. We don't see her. We have the whereabouts of everyone else. Is this potentially, so we have to remember too, that Mark is coming to their town in order to look for a house. And I just want to throw this little flashback back that the end of September, or the beginning of September 2003 is when Mark and the woods scene happens, which is very close in dates. I just want to point that back.
Yes, the skipping home scene, if we all remember that.
The skipping home woods scene, which we won't explain any further. But yeah, so early October at that Friday, like she's alone. Who's to say that Mark didn't potentially come and see Liz first on that Friday or Saturday in early October?
Which then caused the spiral, which then caused all of this to happen. And I guess the thing with that is that the trend is Mark always sees Liz first.
Only 4 days, like from Friday to Tuesdays, like 4 days where like, I don't think like he just appeared at the house, like in the middle of the night. Like I feel like that's
very random. Yeah.
So like, who's to say he wasn't there prior and he just had to make a pit stop? I can't see Liz like violently shaking on the ground and all this stuff just because of her fight with Gibbs, to be honest. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me. They get in fights all the time, but this one, like,
and it was big enough for Feely to call Hugh. He was at work, and Hugh like left work immediately. So it's a big enough spiral, and we know that the really big spirals happen after an assault.
I truly think that's it, because technically once Hugh gets back to his house after that 2-hour drive, like that's when Claire's like, Hugh, like where have you been? Like it's been 2 hours. I like Mark's back, and Hugh's like going like this deathly shade of pale, and I truly don't think Hugh fully knows what happened at this point. I really don't. But he rushes over to like Gibbs' house, and I think this can also stem, and I know we didn't really talk about this, Crystal, but like if he just was with like if he just saw this whole thing happen with Lizzie, like he's already like fully emotional, and he could be like, oh my gosh, her dad's back, and now we have Mark back, like this is a bad thing. Or maybe he came to realization that maybe she was talking about Mark. We don't know. Like it's all speculation.
And I think because it's a 2-hour drive, like this is the end of that drive, so potentially they could have had a conversation leading up to this, but it's also interesting because when you read the other point of view, obviously it's from Claire around Hugh threatening Mark. Yes, he is implying around Lizzie. You'd kind of feel like the response here would be like he wouldn't want to leave her, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like if he found out about like Mark, like he would have not left her side. Like I don't think he would have been like, all right, see ya, thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
And
and then also knowing that Mark was back as soon as he returned, he would have probably gone back to Lizzie as soon as possible. Like potentially would have been more than just a threat if we knew.
Yeah, I mean, I would think like if he found out about the whole thing, like he would not just threaten. Like I don't think
it would be actions first. It would be
a different situation. Yeah. Like I think he's like probably just like stressed out about like now Liz's dad's back and now she's freaking out and like this whole thing is happening and like I think he's overwhelmed and like now that Mark's back is just another layer to the story, especially because he did believe her about Kiva. Yeah. So like he still believes that. He still believes that Mark assaulted Kiva. So, of course, he's going to want to protect, like, Gibbs and Liz in that situation if he thought, like, he was abusive towards Liz's sister.
Yeah, exactly. So, potentially, he's, like, slowly putting it together, and he's, like, this close. Like, he's so
Always.
close. Always.
Literally always. This close. Always. And as a reader, you're so frustrated because you're just like, it's right in front of you, buddy. Like, just look. Just one more question and you would have got it.
Honestly. And that's what the next book is going to be like. So, slow burn. He's slowly going to get there. He's definitely going to get there. It's just unfortunate that we've had to go through another situation before we could get there. But anyways, yeah, so that's our Mark, like our updated Mark theory of when we think Mark's going to come back. Again, based on the evidence that we have, this potentially could change, but it was kind of clicking in our timeline and it was kind of clicking in like the different point of views and what we had from Taming 7. Yeah.
And it's funny because there is like some snippets and like there is like playlists surrounding like that 2-hour drive home and stuff like that. So I think it's an important moment. Like we have that one playlist. It's like Hugh driving Liz home after fighting with Claire, the night Mark returned in T7, and the song's Nothing's Going to Hurt You, Baby. Like we have not just snippets that we like kind of place, but we do have like actual playlists where it like says the night Mark returned and stuff like that. So we do have other pieces.
So like potentially like more could have come out in that 2-hour chat. Like that song in particular, the lyrics are, it's Could I Have Saved You, I Forgive You. And that's the lyrics that she put in the blurb for that particular song.
And the song is For Blue Skies.
So it's a 2-hour drive. Anything could have happened.
I also want to preference they only live 6 miles apart.
Yeah, that 2-hour drive is very important. And obviously October is very important. So, but yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry. We are so sorry.
Well, that's our theory.
That's what I wanted today. Now
it's not a happy theory, guys, but
it's not good.
I kind of thought it was going to happen. Like I didn't think we were fully finished with Mark, unfortunately. And we don't know the context of what happens with Mark on that potential Friday, Saturday. Like, could he assault her? Absolutely. But could it lead to other things? Like maybe he has more photos with him or who knows what potentially he's up to because we're not in like a monster's brain. You know what I mean? Yeah. So who knows what happens?
And that's our theory for today.
That is our little podcast episode we wanted to record for you because it's just on our brains. Now you guys get to spiral with us.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.